The wind howled through the dark mountains like a hungry wolf. Snow slammed against the windows of a small wooden hut sitting alone in the white silence. Inside, a man named Ray sat near the fire, his rifle resting on the wall. He lived here. Alone, far away from the noise of the galaxy. He liked the quiet, no war. No people, no lies, just snow and time. Ray was a retired soldier. He had fought in 3 space wars, lost many friends, and even more faith. Now he just wanted peace. But that night, peace broke. At first, it was just a soft sound. A tap, like snow falling from the roof. Then another, louder, and again, knock, knock. Ray frowned and picked up his rifle. No one ever came here, not in this storm, not in this cold. He moved to the door, slowly and carefully. His fingers touched the panel, and the old wooden door opened with a loud creak. The cold hit him like a slap, and then he saw her, a figure collapsed in the snow, thin, shaking, dressed in torn cloth, her arms bound with metal cuffs. Her skin shimmered under the snowlight. Not human, not even close. She had soft violet skin that faded to blue near her hands. Her eyes were large and glowing, her lips blue from the cold. She was breathing, but barely around her neck, a dirty piece of paper hung from a chain. Ray bent down and pulled it up. The words were simple and cruel. Unsold slave, broken, yours if you want. Ray looked around, but there was no ship, no tracks, no sound, just snow and silence. He didn't know who she was or where she came from, but she would die if he left her there. He cursed under his breath, then lifted her in his arms. She was light, too light, like she hadn't eaten in days. Inside, he placed her near the fire, still holding his rifle with one hand. Her skin started to change color near the warmth, a soft orange glow. Ray had seen many species in his life, but never one like her. He poured some hot water into a cup and slowly let a few drops touch her lips. Her eyes flickered open, bright, alien, scared. She stared at him, tried to speak, but only strange sounds came out. His translator implant buzzed in his ear, but didn't work. Her language wasn't in its database. Still, she whispered one word, and this time the translator caught it. Danger. Ray's face tightened. What danger? He asked, but she had already passed out again. He looked at her wrists, at the marks from the cuffs, the shaking breath, the purple bruises. Someone had treated her badly, that much was clear. But why leave her here? Why in the middle of a deadly snowstorm, on a forgotten planet, outside a human hut? He kept the rifle close as he checked her for hidden weapons or devices. Nothing, just the cuffs and the strange collar around her neck. He didn't trust easily, especially not things dropped at his door in the middle of a blizzard. But something about her made him pause. Maybe it was the fear in her eyes, or maybe it was the way she tried to speak. Like she had something important to say. Ray stood and stared at her, then turned to the fire and threw another log in. Looks like peace will have to wait, he muttered. As the fire crackled, snow continued to fall outside. The night grew darker, and Ray's mind filled with questions. Who left her? What danger was she talking about? Was someone watching them even now? He walked to the window and looked out into the white storm. Nothing but wind and snow. But in his gut, Ray felt something was coming. Something big, behind him, the alien woman. Stirred again, her lips moving in her sleep. He couldn't hear the words. But one thing was clear. This was no accident. She had been left here for a reason. And now, whatever her story was, he was part of it. Asterisk. The fire had almost died when she finally opened her eyes again. They glowed faint gold in the dark room. Like twin stars under deep water, Ray was sitting near the wall, awake, rifle across his lap. He had not slept all night. He watched her silently, the way her chest moved slowly with each breath. She was alive but fragile, like a candle in the wind. Her skin shimmered again, a soft silver now. Ray had never seen anything like it. She sat up slowly, wrapping the blanket tighter around her body. Her hands still shook, not from cold now, but from fear. Ray said nothing. Just handed her a small cup of hot broth. She took it with both hands, eyes locked on him, unsure if he was a friend or just another captor. Minutes passed, full of silence. Then she spoke, her voice soft and cracked. "Where am I?" Ray pointed. "At the wooden walls. My place, mountain hut, planet Gliese 12K. She blinked slowly. "You, human," Ray nodded. "And you?" She looked down at her shaking hands. "I am." "Alari." Ray watched her carefully. Her voice was strange, beautiful even when weak. But more than that, her words had weight, like she wasn't used to speaking freely. "Who did this to you?" he asked. She looked away, pain flashing in her golden eyes. "Many, too many. They call themselves traders, but they are butchers." Ray clenched his jaw. He had heard of the black market slave syndicates, alien networks that kidnapped rare species, sold them across the galaxy. He had even fought them once, long ago. But they always came back, worse than before. "They sold you," he said. Alari shook her head. "They tried, but no one wanted me." "Why?" She took a long breath. "I was broken," they said, "not obedient, not perfect." She touched the collar on her neck. "They tried to fix me, again and again." Ray leaned forward. "What do you mean, fix?" Alari looked him in the eyes for the first time. Her voice dropped. Lower, almost a whisper. "They wanted to change what I am." Ray frowned. "You mean surgery?" She shook her head, no deeper. "They wanted my mind, my body, my energy. I am not just a slave, Ray. I was made into something else." Ray sat back slowly. Something in her voice chilled him more than the snowstorm ever could. She continued. "My people, the Vayari. We are peaceful, we heal, not harm, but the traitors. They wanted to create a weapon from me. They used machines, injections, voices in my head. I escaped before the final phase." Ray stood and walked to the window, his thoughts racing. If what she said was true, someone out there had created a living weapon and lost it. He looked out into the snow again. The storm was still strong, but now it felt like something worse was waiting inside it. She said danger, he thought, remembering her first word. He turned to her. "Why leave you here?" Alari shook her head. "I don't know. Maybe they think I'll die, maybe. They want to see what I do next." Ray's gut tightened. It wasn't just about helping a lost alien anymore. This was bigger, much bigger. Suddenly, his old satellite alarm beeped, once, then again. Ray rushed to the screen and checked the radar. A small blip appeared, moving slowly across the sky above his hut. No signal, no ID, no response. Ray cursed. "Someone's here." Alari stood up, weak but alert. She grabbed the blanket like a shield. "They found me," Ray grabbed his rifle and looked at her. "We need to move now." She nodded, then stumbled. Ray caught her before she fell. "You're not strong enough," he said. "I don't need to be," she whispered. Her skin turned bright orange, then white. The fire in the fireplace flickered, as if reacting to her. Ray stared. The air around her was changing, growing warmer. She was doing it, controlling heat. Somehow Ray stepped back, shocked. You're not just an alien," he said. "You're something else." Alari's eyes were glowing again, and this time there was no fear in them. Only one word left her lips, strong and clear. "I'm evolving." The storm outside had slowed, but inside Ray's hut, a new kind of storm had started. He stared at Alari, whose skin was now glowing faint white. The air near her shimmered like heat rising from fire. She stood straight, breathing deeply, stronger than before. Something had awakened in her, something powerful and maybe dangerous. Ray didn't speak. He just watched, alert, his finger resting near the trigger of his old plasma rifle. Alari looked at him, her voice calm now. "They gave me something. A machine small, inside my body. It changed me." Ray frowned. "Changed you how?" She didn't answer with words. Instead, she raised her hand toward the fire, and the flames obeyed her. They grew tall, dancing, then small again, then, with a flick of her wrist, the fire turned blue for just 1 second. Ray stepped back. "Okay." That's new. Ilari let her hand fall, and the flames returned to normal. I couldn't do this before, she whispered. They turned my energy into a weapon, but it's not complete. Before Ray could reply, a sharp beep came from the scanner by the wall. Red light blinked on the old radar screen. 1 dot, then 2, then 3, slowly approaching the hut from the air. Ray's face changed. They're here. Ilari's glow faded quickly, fear returning to her face. They always follow the signal. What signal? Ray asked. She touched the collar on her neck. This. It's not just a chain. It's a beacon. Ray cursed and pulled open a hidden box beneath the floor. Inside were a few emergency supplies, energy packs and a scanner jammer. He slammed the device onto the collar. It sparked, hissed, and then fell silent. The red dots on the radar didn't stop moving. Too late, they had already found them. Ray grabbed a backpack and tossed it at Ilari. Put that on, we're leaving. But where? She asked. Ray looked out the window. Old war bunker, 2 kilometers east. Underground, off the grid. He pushed open the door, and the cold slapped them both in the face. The snow was deep, but Ray knew these mountains like his own skin. They moved fast, half running, half sliding down a hidden path behind the hut. Above them, a dark ship cut across the sky. Small, fast, silent. Its surface absorbed the light. Stealth class. Built for hunting, Ray didn't stop, didn't look back. He had seen these ships before, in old wars, used by black market killers and shadow groups. Beside him, Ilari was struggling, her breath sharp in the cold, but her steps were steady. Something inside her was pushing forward, refusing to fall. Minutes passed like hours, until they reached a rocky cliff hidden by trees. Ray kicked open a panel in the ground. It revealed a narrow stairway leading underground. Go, he said, and she climbed down without a word. Inside, the bunker smelled like dust and old war memories, metal walls, flickering lights, and silence. Ray sealed the hatch and activated the old defense system, just enough to block scans, not enough to shoot. They sat down, breathing heavily. Ilari looked at him. I didn't mean to bring danger to you. Ray shook his head. You didn't. They did. She nodded slowly. There's something you should know, she said. I wasn't the only one. There are others like me, many, created in secret labs, hidden across the stars. Ray's eyes narrowed. Why? She looked down, her voice soft. They want to build an army. Not with metal, but with life. Weapons that think, move, and kill. All controlled by code. I escaped, but I'm still connected to their network. Ray stood up, thinking hard. This isn't just about you, then this is a warning. Suddenly, a screen lit up. A signal from outside. One of the hunters had left a drone, hidden near the hut, and it had gone active. The image showed a dark figure walking slowly toward the hut. Then, speaking in a low voice, Subject Ilari escaped this location. Trail is fresh. Capture or kill. Ilari stood up, her voice shaking. They won't stop, Ray, not until I'm gone. Ray looked at her, and for the first time there was no doubt in his voice. Then we won't run, we fight. Ray stood still in the middle of the bunker, hands tight around his old rifle. For the first time in years, the cold inside him was gone. Not because of the heater, not because of Ilari, but because something old had woken up. The soldier inside, above them, silent death floated in the skies. Black ships, invisible drones, trackers that never slept. But down here, under rock and steel, the fire of humanity was starting to burn again. Ilari sat quietly in the corner, her glowing hands resting on her knees. Her skin flickered orange and silver, her breathing calm but focused. She had changed, and she knew it. But it was Ray who noticed the truth first. You're not running anymore, he said. She looked up, her voice steady. No, not anymore, Ray nodded. Good, because I'm tired of hiding too. He walked to an old locker, rusty and half-broken. He smashed it open and pulled out a dusty crate. Inside, a human-designed plasma core, a portable turret, and his old battle armor, scratched. And scorched from another war. Didn't think I'd need this again. He muttered, sliding the chest plate on. Alari stood up slowly. I can help, Ray, but I need control. Right now the fire inside me is wild. Ray turned. You think you can train it? I can try, she said. But I need to know something. What? Why help me? I'm not human. I'm not your fight. Ray looked at her, not just at her glowing skin or strange eyes, but at the person inside. You were left in the snow to die, he said, and you're not the first, but maybe, just maybe, if I help you live, I make peace with the ones I couldn't save. Ilari didn't answer, but her eyes shined with quiet respect. She stepped closer, and the heat around her pulsed like a heartbeat. Then we fight together, Ray activated. The bunker screen and a map blinked to life. One red dot, a drone, sitting quietly near the edge of the woods above the hut. He zoomed in. It was sniffing, scanning, waiting. He smiled. Let's give it something to report. The plan was simple. Lure them, trap them, break them, Ray. Set up the turret near the north exit, buried under leaves and broken metal. Ilari stood near the cliff, focusing, breathing. She reached out with one hand, and the snow began to melt. Ray watched in awe as she pulled heat from her own body and pushed it into the air. A soft glowing fog formed around her, bending light, blurring her outline. Then Ray fired a single plasma shot into the sky, just loud enough to be heard. The drone lit up on the scanner, then blinked out. They're coming, Ray said, within minutes. 3 dark ships flew low over the trees, sleek, silent, full of shadows. One landed near the hut. 2 circled above. 6 figures stepped out, tall, armored, faceless. Mercenaries from the Black Syndicate, hunters of living tech. Their leader pointed toward the snow trail. Life signs near the cliff. He said. They moved fast, weapons ready. But what they found wasn't a helpless girl. Alari stood on the cliff edge, hands raised, her voice like wind. You should have left me, she said. And the ground beneath her exploded into fire, steam. Shot up as heat cracked the ice. Ray triggered the turret. Metal screamed as energy bolts tore through the ambush. The mercenaries scattered, but it was too late. Ray moved like a ghost through the trees. His rifle hummed, and every shot found its mark. He wasn't just a mountain man now. He was the old Ray. The one who survived war zones with fire in his heart. Alari, glowing like a falling star, raised both hands. Heat spiraled around her. And then she pushed. A wave of burning air blasted through the nearest attackers. Their armor melted. Their weapons shattered. One mercenary dropped to his knees, helmet cracked. He stared at her, gasping. She is the prototype, he whispered. If she survives, the galaxy burns. Ilari stepped forward. No, she said. If I survive, the galaxy changes. And with one final motion, she raised her hand. The snowstorm itself bent to her will. Sharp ice and fire spun together like a storm of light. The last ship took off fast, leaving smoke behind. Silence returned, heavy and final. Ray walked back toward her, his armor burned, his arms shaking. You okay? He asked. She smiled, barely standing. I'm not broken anymore, she said. I'm learning who I am. Ray looked at the sky, dark, but not empty. They'll be back, he said. I know, she replied. But this time we'll be ready. The forest was silent again, but it was not peace. It was the silence that comes after fire, after blood. Smoke floated through the cold air like ghosts whispering secrets. Ray stood near the cliff edge, his rifle low, his eyes sharp beside him. Alari sat on a rock, her skin still glowing faint orange. She was breathing hard, her body tired from the energy she had burned. But there was a spark in her eyes now, not fear, but purpose. They ran, she said, voice calm. Ray nodded. Yeah, but they'll be back, and next time, they won't just send hunters. He walked back to the bunker entrance, his boots crunching over ice and ash. Ilari followed slowly, her steps careful but sure. The door closed behind them with a heavy sound. Like the end of one chapter and the start of another, Ray placed a small device on the table, one of the mercenary helmets. Cracked and half-melted, he hooked it to an old signal reader, hoping to pull intel from the dead man's gear. Ilari sat down, still quiet. She watched Ray with curious eyes. "You move like someone who's lost many wars," she said. Ray didn't. "Look at her." "Because I have." The screen blinked once, then again. A message loaded from the helmet's last broadcast. Broken, but clear. Subject Ilari confirmed active. Status: unstable asset. Order: neutralize on next contact. Backup requested. Elite strike unit en route from Station Redfall. Ray leaned back. "They're sending their best." Ilari's face didn't change. "They'll try to kill me." Ray looked at her. "They'll try to erase you. There's a difference." She stood, moved toward the center of the room, and closed her eyes. Heat swirled around her like slow smoke, rising from her shoulders and fingertips. Ray stepped back, unsure if it was safe to stand too close. "I'm learning to control it," she whispered. "But the more I learn, the more I feel what they planted inside me." Ray raised an eyebrow. "Planted?" "They didn't just test me," she said. "They fused me with something, a code, a system. It's alive inside my blood." Ray stared. "You're saying you're part machine?" "No," she said, opening her eyes. "I'm something new, something they never finished." Ray paced the room, deep in thought. He knew what was coming. Elite strike units, trained to kill targets with precision, no emotion, no mercy. They'd be tracking heat, movement, DNA signals. They wouldn't talk, only shoot. "We can't stay here," Ray finally said. "They'll turn this whole mountain into glass if they have to." Ilari walked to the wall and touched a screen. A hologram of the nearby region lit up. There was a blinking dot far in the distance. An old human cum station. Long abandoned. Ray followed her gaze. "That place hasn't worked in years," he said. She looked at him. "I can fix it, or at least send the signal. Someone out there needs to know what's happening." Ray knew she was right. This wasn't about saving one person anymore. It was about stopping something bigger. The creation of an army that didn't bleed. Didn't think, didn't feel, just obeyed. He loaded his gear, handed Ilari a power cell, and looked her in the eyes. "If we do this, there's no turning back." She nodded. "I don't want to turn back." They left the bunker before dawn, using hidden paths only Ray knew. The snow was lighter now, the wind calm, but every sound felt sharper. Every tree could hide an enemy. Every shadow could be death. Halfway through the valley, Ray stopped suddenly. His visor beeped. Motion detected. Too late. A beam of light exploded from the sky. They dropped to the ground as the hill beside them was vaporized. "Strike teams here," Ray said. Figures dropped from the air. Fast. Silent. Black armor with red visors. Ray fired first, his shot hitting one square in the chest. The armor absorbed it. Ilari raised her hands and pushed. A wave of heated air slammed into two more, sending them flying. They were outnumbered. Outgunned, but not outwilled. Ray rolled behind a rock, activated a smoke drone, and called out, "Fall back to the cave ridge. We hold them there." Ilari followed, her body glowing brighter with every second. But something else was happening. She was changing. As they reached the ridge, she turned and screamed, not in fear, but in rage. A burst of heat exploded from her body, burning so hot the snow turned to glass. 3 soldiers dropped, screaming. Ray stared, stunned. "You're burning from the inside," he said. She looked at him, pain and power mixed in her eyes. "I can't hold it much longer." The world was quiet again, but the silence didn't feel like safety. It felt like something was watching, waiting for the next move. Ray and Ilari stood in the burned valley, surrounded by melted snow and scorched earth. The elite soldiers were gone, dead or retreating, but the air still carried their scent. Ilari knelt beside the glassy ice, her fingers trembling. Her glow had faded, but the heat from her body still melted the snow around her. She looked tired, not just in body, but in soul. Ray walked toward her, his armor scorched, his breath shallow. He crouched beside her and spoke softly. "You saved us again." She didn't answer, just stared at her hands. "Something's wrong," she whispered. "It's spreading." Ray frowned. "What is?" She turned her hands upward, and Ray saw it. Tiny silver lines crawling under her skin. They shimmered like threads of metal, pulsing in rhythm with her heartbeat. Allari's voice was full of fear. "When they made me, they didn't just change my body. They buried something inside me. A second program, a hidden one." Ray stood slowly pacing. "Like a virus?" "No," she said. "Like a seed." He stopped, staring at her. "A seed of what?" She looked up, and her voice turned cold. "A new species." Ray felt the ground shift beneath that word. He sat down, watching her closely. "Start from the beginning," he said. "All of it." Allari nodded slowly, her eyes distant like she was remembering pain locked deep inside. "My kind. The Vayari. We're not fighters. We were peaceful, full of light. We could heal wounds, calm storms, but that made us weak in the eyes of others." She looked away, her fingers digging into the snow. "The traitors found us, studied us, learned how we connect with energy, and then they took us one by one." Ray clenched his fists. He'd heard stories like this before. Too many times. People taken, twisted, used as tools by powerful shadows. "But they didn't want just slaves," she continued. "They wanted creators. Something they could build from. I wasn't just a test subject, Ray. I was the template." Ray's breath caught. "You were the first," she nodded. "They built the others from me. Copies, half successful. Many of them died in the labs. I was the only one who stabilized." Ray sat in stunned silence. The woman in front of him wasn't just a survivor. She was the beginning of something. Maybe even the end of something else. Allari placed her hand against her chest. "There's something inside me now, a kind of living code. It adapts, learns, grows when I grow." She looked at Ray with tears in her eyes. "It's not just power, Ray. It's a design meant to copy itself." Ray stood up slowly. "You mean it can spread?" "Yes," she whispered. "If I lose control, it could pass into others." Ray paced back and forth, his mind racing. He had thought he was saving one life. Now he saw the truth. He was protecting the most dangerous and valuable being in the galaxy. "If they capture you," he said. "They won't kill you," she nodded. "They'll use me. They'll seed an army with my blood. Make soldiers who feel no pain, need no orders, and they'll look just like me." Ray felt the weight of her words like stone. He had fought many wars, but never for something like this. This wasn't about borders or politics. This was about species survival. Allari stood, weak but tall. "I came to your door half dead, left in the snow like trash, and now I carry something that could change the stars." Ray stared at her. "You could destroy everything, or you could save it." She looked at him, not smiling, just real. "That choice isn't mine alone anymore." Ray checked his rifle, looked toward the horizon. "We have one chance. There's a relay tower on the southern ridge. If we reach it, we can send a message to the Human Alliance." Allari nodded. "But if I go near the relay, I'll light up every scanner in space." Ray's eyes narrowed. "Then we'll use that. We'll bait them." She looked at him in surprise. "You're going to draw the syndicate in?" Ray gave her a half smile, the kind only war-hardened soldiers give. "Yeah. And then we show them what human fire really looks like." Allari stepped beside him. Together, they began walking toward the ridge. The sky was dark. The path was deadly. But this time, the hunter wasn't the syndicate. This time, the hunter was them. The wind at the southern ridge was sharp like knives. It cut through Ray's armor and Allari's skin, but neither of them stopped. Below them, the frozen valley stretched into shadow, silent and waiting. Above, clouds rolled in thick and black, like the sky itself was holding its breath. Ray adjusted the charge on his rifle and checked the power lines running to the old Cums Tower. It stood crooked, half buried in ice, forgotten by time and war. But today, it would speak again. Ilari stood near the edge, her glowing skin now pulsing like a heartbeat. The silver lines under her skin had spread across her arms and neck. She looked like something not made by nature, but born from pain and fire. Not human, not machine, not weapon, something else entirely. Are you sure about this? Ray asked. She didn't look at him. No, she said quietly, but I know it's right. Ray connected the last cable to the relay core and powered the system. The tower hummed, lights blinking one by one as power returned. Once this signal goes out, he said, the whole galaxy will hear it. That's the plan, Ilari replied. Make them afraid of what they created. Ray opened the control panel, uploaded the data they had stolen from the mercenary helmet, lab records, DNA maps, shipping logs, all of it. He added Ilari's story, her voice, her truth. Then he set the signal to burst transmit, a wide call to every human alliance outpost. The message would reach millions. The secret would not stay hidden anymore. Just as the final upload reached 100%, the sky cracked open. 3 massive black ships broke through the clouds, their shadows covering the mountains. The syndicate had come, and this time, they weren't hiding. Here we go, Ray said, loading the last magazine into his rifle. Ilari stepped forward, the snow melting under her feet. The heat around her shimmered like fire trapped in glass. I can feel them, she whispered. They want to shut me down, overwrite me, make me nothing again. Ray looked at her. Then remind them what you are. Beams of light fired from the enemy ships, burning the snow in straight lines. Ray dodged left, returned fire, his shots hitting the hull of a drone that exploded in flames. But Ilari, she didn't run. She walked, calm, steady, as if the fire didn't touch her. She raised both hands, and the sky answered. Lightning struck the mountaintop. Drawn by the heat in her body, she screamed, not in pain, but power. The air shook, and a wave of energy burst from her skin like a second sun. Enemy ships spun off course, systems shorted. Drones dropped from the sky like dying birds. Inside the lead ship, syndicate officers panicked. She's activating the core, one shouted. She's going to ignite. Ilari turned her gaze toward the ship and whispered one word. Burn. A beam of heat, silent and focused, shot from her hands. It sliced through the ship's shields and tore open the metal like paper. Ray watched in awe, but also fear. She was changing, evolving, becoming something not even she could control. The ships pulled back, systems crashing. The fire didn't follow them. It stayed with her, wrapped around her like armor. Ray ran to her side as she collapsed to her knees. Steam rose from her body, but she was alive. Barely. He caught her before she fell. You did it, he said. You ended it. No, she whispered. I began it. Ray looked at the sky. The ships were gone. The tower still stood. The message had been sent. Soon, the human alliance would respond. And this time, they wouldn't come to rescue. They would come to fight. Ray sat beside her, holding her hand. He had started the story as a man who wanted nothing but silence. Now he had a voice again, and a reason to use it. You're not alone anymore, he said. Ilari opened her eyes. Tears rolled down her cheeks, steaming as they touched her skin. I thought I was just a weapon, she whispered. But maybe. I was a warning, Ray nodded. Now you're a beacon. The wind blew over the mountain one last time, carrying the signal across the stars. Somewhere far from the frozen world, human ships began to move, and for the first time in years, humanity struck back.